Robertson. Oh, she's a heck of a lot of fun, Jeanne Robertson.
That right? Thank you, Patrick Henry, and thank you, Toni Meredith, and to all of y'all. This is Jeanne Robertson, and as I promised earlier this morning, we were going to be on this back porch today, rain or no rain. It is finally subsided a little bit, but boy, it poured. You don't want to be politically incorrect, but it poured cats and dogs all night, and it was terrible. But we are a little bit drier right now. We'll see. Sorry for those of you who say, well, we need rain. Well, I can't do everything. I do have a couple of big announcements to make right here in the beginning, though. First of all, we're glad you're here. Second of all, I have the greatest news. On Tuesday, I'm getting my hair cut. It's either that or a ponytail or two ponytails or do something. So we're finally able to get where we need to go, get a haircut on Tuesday. So this is going to be gone. The next big announcement, apparently, I'm going to say this again. I looked just terrible last weekend. I went to get the COVID test in the car. I didn't put on a bra. I just got in the car. Somebody drove me. It was like picking up children from elementary school. And then they called me while I was in line and said, no, we've got you set up for 4 tests over here. And I did not get back till I came walking in here. So at this point, I thought y'all would be interested to know 23 and a half people have told me how bad I looked last week. And I know it, and I looked at it, and it looks terrible.
Explain that half person.
I
cut them off.
I cut that phone off. But everybody has told me, you look terrible last. I know I did, y'all. I know I did. I'm
so glad people feel so close that they can say something like that.
I know you can do that. So didn't you go out to eat last night, Toni, and our good friend said I looked terrible?
She said that they were so worried on Thursday, but you were better on Saturday. By Saturday, you'd gotten it together.
I had on underwear.
Then now you got it real together.
But now I'm getting it all cut.
Except I love that you think your hair is long.
It's very long to me.
For you,
it is long to me. But I'm just getting everybody back in order because people call and they tell you what you would like to know or not know. And the big question has become, why do you answer the phone? And the answer is I've got a lot of different calls coming in, medical calls, different things that we're doing. And I look at that number and I think, well, but I really should stop answering the landline because remember last week, the lady wanted to know, what is wrong with you? And I said, well, I just picked
people keep calling.
I told her that my husband had died 2 months ago and I was 4 months pregnant, and that stopped her for a little while. But let's get going, and we're going to get going with gifts. Patrick's here, Toni's here, and now we're socially distancing like we used to just a little bit more. Everybody's do whatever they tell you to do. So we're going to give away some prizes, and y'all sent in some unbelievable questions, and we got these in here. Going to give away 3 quick prizes of your choice, and it's from all the swag back here on that's the big word now, swag, back here, and I'm going to reach down. There's too many things. And first, we're going to give away 3 prizes, your choice of what you want back here, and Toni will send it to you. And the first winner is good morning, Jeannie from Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia. Unfortunately, there's no rain here. Maybe it's headed this way. Hubby may be joining me at lunch today. He loves to listen to you too. You are in my prayers each day. We must get you and keep you up. So who are you? There's no name. So I probably cut it off. I was cutting off these during the night. But from the Panhandle of West Virginia, hubby will be joining.
Maybe someone will hear that, recognize their message, and let us know, and we'll be glad to send them a prize. But go on and draw one with a name this time.
All right. Here's another prize winner. You are winning a prize right now, and the winner is Renee Groleau, and you are from Chicopee, Massachusetts.
Chickapoo.
What?
Nothing. There's an old movie with Jodie Foster where she said chickapoo.
Chickapoo, yeah. Oh, and we had a guest on who does that routine, and it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You won't believe this, but I was born right outside of Boston in Chelsea Naval Base. It was the war, and Daddy was up there for something. So I didn't stay long, and I don't have a Massachusetts accent. But Renee, you have won. Congratulations. And if you will let Toni know, think how many people are going to call in and say, I'm from the panhandle of West Virginia, and y'all pull my name. All right, here we go. This is another gift. If you can use it, and if not, you can give it to somebody else. And this is okay. Thank you, Elizabeth Liz Green Huband, Huband. That's not our Liz Green, is it? From NSA, is it, Patrick? That's somebody else. But she says, I love you, Elizabeth. You always look great. Well, unfortunately, I've seen the footage from last time.
Unfortunately, that's still available to view.
Maybe I should take that down. That looks terrible.
Is there a way to delete that one?
But that's 3, including the person from West Virginia. So let us know if you were the lady from who talked your husband into watching, at lunch today. That's the first 3, and we'll give away more as the program goes on. I have a question for all of you, and that is, it's come out, and y'all have called it to my attention, and I just think it's hilarious. 40% of the people watching the Olympics say, if I could have time to practice, I'd be better than the people in the Olympics. Now, would you say that about, what would you do in the Olympics if you were in the Olympics?
Women's volleyball.
Women, I'm sure you would. Toni, what would you do in the Olympics?
Oh, that's hard. I'd like to think I could be a gymnast, but not really.
You could tap dance.
Tap dancing is not a Olympic sport. I don't think. If I could swim, I could do that beautiful artistic swimming. They changed the name of that to artistic swimming this year.
I know it because when I taught it at Judson College in Alabama, it was synchronized.
Right,
swimming.
and they said they changed it. I heard the reasoning for that. That there's so much more to it than just being synchronized. They are synchronized, but that there's so much more to that. I think I'd rather be a diver since Andy was a diver. Remember, that was his high school sport. And we went to many, many practices. He was a springboard diver. So I think I know more about it. Not that I could ever do that. And I hope everybody saw the women's platform with the young Chinese 14-year-old who won the gold and had 3 or 4 perfect dives in her list of dives. Unbelievable diving.
I don't think I said, well, I'm not going to watch all this stuff. I'm got all this medical stuff I'm doing here, everything. But you did get hooked in it. But I didn't get hooked in the names and the countries as much as the backstories of some of these young people and what they did to get there and how hard they had worked. But people don't understand. That's all they do for years to get to make it to the Olympics. I don't know if Title IX had not been passed, so women could do very little when we came along. But, and I was a physical education major, but do y'all really think if you just had a few weeks practice that you could get out there and kick people under the water and water polo? Probably could. I would like to know what you would like to do if you really had a chance, and of course, if your parents can buy those horses. Did you see the people on the horses? The horses cost millions.
Oh, they're beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful horses.
Yeah.
So,
Problem is, you got to feed them.
You got and clean up after
and brush them and all that.
But I saw what I call the true Olympic spirit come through several times. One was the 2 boys that were best friends from other countries, but they kept competing against each other and competing. It might have been pole vault, but it was the same score over and over. They were so tired. And finally they got them together and said, okay, you got to go again. We don't have a gold. And one of them said, why can't we both have a gold? And they said, well, why not? And they just were thrilled. And I thought, why not? And I thought I liked that story, and I saw several others that I did too. What sport would you seriously do, Patrick, if you?
Well, I thought about curling, but Leslie said I can't. She goes, you can't sweep.
True.
Actually, I studied judo and jiu-jitsu for a lot of years.
That's right.
I would love to have been good enough to compete in judo.
And you wrestled in high school, right?
Yeah, but I'm
You're not bragging about it.
yeah, I did wrestle in high school.
I heard
But,
something on the radio writing here that our wrestling team has just I think men's, and I don't know kinds of wrestling and I don't know weights and all that, but somebody had just pulled out a win in the last second of the match and won.
Well, one was a woman.
Well, a woman did it, and now a man has also done it, and I can't remember his name. I'm sorry, but anyway, he had won a gold.
And wrestling is one of the original Olympic sports. It's probably the wrestling and running. I mean, that was it back in the
Not synchronized
Right.
days.
Yeah, power walking. I would have loved to, but what I wanted to give up, since women couldn't do anything much anyway, but I want to give up everything for 10 or 12 years and just concentrate on the one. I can see myself walking across and getting the medal. I'd do well at getting the medal, but no.
I think you can handle the medal part.
Oh, I got into the women's golf, all of it. So we'd like to know, let me see what some of you say, which ones you're in. Rifle. We have some people here who, nope, no way, I'm not doing that. Forgot to tune into any of it. The woman from Colorado, it was just different. I just said I wasn't going to get into it too. And then, they were so young and what was it? They had a little boy on this morning that had nothing to do with the Olympics, but he's the new chess world grand master. He's 12 years old, and he said he's worked for this all his life. I'm thinking you got a hand up, Toni.
Yeah. Back on the prizes, real quick. Someone says they saw the comment from the woman in Panhandle of West Virginia, and her name. They saw it go by Thursday, and her name's Angela Bowers.
Okay,
So-
Angela Bowers. Okay,
So I have it down. Yeah.
okay. Let me make a couple of announcements here. This is August, and we just can't figure out what color is August. It's beginning to be fall, and did y'all notice how quickly we went from the Olympics to, okay, that's it. Professional football will be on Thursday night. I mean, we've switched back into football. But it's not orange yet. And what color? Because we get all of our orange out for the fall and Halloween and Thanksgiving and all that kind of stuff. But we don't have does anybody know an August color? I don't think you do. I've thought. Couple of
August
things.
colors, humidity.
Yeah, what
Humidity.
color is sweat?
What color
Wayne.
sweat?
Okay, the Neil Steele radio show, as I understand it, Neil with his hip replacement will be back on that next Friday, and I will be on with him if he is on. And I think that's the 13th. What is it?
You'll be in Athens, but you can be on.
Okay. We have announced this week. Now, see, somebody else. I don't need anybody else to tell me how bad I look last week.
Who said that?
Are they still telling you?
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you did, they said. You did. Moving on. Okay. We have gotten, I've talked to you about this before. We have a whole lot of tickets that are selling now. This is sort of not just me. This is sort of the theater world. Shows are back opening up and so forth. And the minute they did, and the Nashville people put up a whole lot of shows that were selling tickets, immediately the third, what do you call it, Patrick? The third tier, reselling.
Oh,
Resellers, third-party
So if you-
sellers, resellers, scalpers is the real word.
Scalpers are in on it. And so the best place for you to get your ticket, this is not my money. I mean, I'm paid to come and do the show. But you be careful. If somebody wants to sell you a ticket for $335 to one of my shows, this is a wrong thing. And if you won't be able to find those people if you have a problem, go to where the theater wants you to go. They will tell you on their theater site exactly where they're going. And I'm not trying to shuffle money my way because it doesn't matter to me which way you get it. But I hate to see you lose that money. And with the world like it is, if the theater has to postpone a show, then you need to contact your theater where you got your tickets, and you can't find these people that are buying way on down the line. Sometimes it's like standing outside a ball game and saying tickets.
It's hard to get refunds off
Can't
of the
get
resellers.
refund. So we're just warning you again. The second is we've been cautioned again about the trolls. Tell them what you do to help get the trolls off, Patrick. It's kind of funny.
Oh, I start blocking them and deleting them, but before I can get to them, people are jumping, helping me out.
Okay, thank y'all.
And I think I've accidentally deleted or blocked a friend of ours, Dorothy, and I'm doing my best to get her back on. I think what we're going to have to do is refriend her on Facebook.
Okay, well, that'll be fine.
So we'll work on that.
Okay, but
could I mention something real
Sure.
quick? So,
and then we'll go to questions.
Our friend Carolyn, my good friend Caroline Johnson, she was in Atlanta at the Merchandise Mart this week. She's got a store that she's opened here, and she was sitting at dinner at the restaurant and started talking to a woman, and she goes, "Oh, you're from Burlington. Do you know Jeanne Robertson?"
Are
And
you
of course
serious?
she did. She sure did. And so Caroline sent me her name. I wanted to give her a shout out. It was Catherine Olson with Alliance Entertainment. She's a big fan, and I think she's watching right now. So,
but the problem
hey,
is, she said, I saw her last week and she didn't look good.
she looked terrible.
I know she didn't have on any makeup, and I don't think she was dressed. But hey, that's great. Good luck to Caroline in her business. Okay, let me answer some of your questions. The questions are in this bucket, and they I'm just going to reach in, find my smiley face at the beginning. Everything that we've got in here, we've got. All right, here's a question.
Can they get tickets on your site for your shows, or is it to the
Yes.
theater?
Now next week, I have a show in Athens, Georgia, that we'll drive to that, and then I have a show in Greenville, South Carolina
on Saturday night.
And that's all been approved for me to go in there. And my niece Jeannie will meet the Nashville people, and she's training to help because they've now decided I don't need somebody to help me. I need somebody to help me look better than I looked last weekend.
Yeah.
So, all right, here you go. Jamie Lynn Westmore, are you coming to Virginia this year? I listened to you with Neil Steele at the Gloucester Morning Show. I love your comedy, a lot of your clips. Okay, I am coming to Virginia in October, the first weekend in October. I have a show in Richmond.
October 3rd, Richmond, 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Okay.
But I don't remember the Carpenter Theater. I think Carpenter.
Of course you remember.
The day before, I'm at the Jeanne Robertson Micro Olympics in Gloucester with Neil Steele. Well, the Micro Olympics, I jokingly said 2 years ago when they've canceled them. You don't need to have the Olympics in your parking lot. And maybe you move a foot or you move two, so I am coming back to Virginia. And then aren't I going to Roanoke later?
You are, but I believe that's, I honestly can't remember when it is. We've changed January. I think it's in January. And you'll be in Roanoke. Yes.
Okay. So Jamie Lynn, thank you for the question.
And actually next spring, you're going to be in Tyson's Corner, which is near almost Virginia. Isn't
I
it?
leave Wilmington, Delaware, and then I go to McLean.
It's somewhere up there near DC. It's in the DC area, but it's up northern Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, I've forgotten when that one is too. That's next spring.
The Nashville
but they are
people
selling
have
tickets.
been busy.
Those tickets are on sale.
And it's just thanks for everybody for your patience and thanks y'all for helping with all these new stories that we're able to incorporate. And we'll tell you about them in a minute. Okay, this is a question from Carolyn H. Hudson. And she said, I hope you're feeling better. We know that getting older ain't for sissies. I'm telling you, no, but it is for people who are determined and they keep a sense of humor. Is that your question? Well, okay, Carolyn, thank you for writing. Here's another question right here. Then I must tell you, I started a story Thursday night, and y'all said I stopped it. I stopped it because I realized it's running out of time. Okay, this is from Allison Webb. Jeannie, hope you're feeling well. Thanks for keeping us company. Is there a way to purchase Patrick's song from Saturday? And you are from Corner, Georgia.
That was a creative. Well, that's a creative name.
Corner.
Where are you from? Corner.
Comer. My eye.
Okay, that makes sense.
Comer.
I'm
All
from
right,
Straightaway,
Patrick,
Georgia.
They
So,
loved your song.
well, it's very new, and thank you, by the way. It's very new. I am going to record it, and I'll probably find a way for you to download it. But it's so new, I haven't recorded it in the studio. But thank you for encouraging me to do that.
They love that song.
It's a good song.
They love that
Thank
song.
you.
And I just love it when you talk about things that I just love that song. It's a good song. All right, here's another question. These are not for prizes. These are just questions that y'all sent in, and we appreciate it. Avis Richardson Wyckoff. Sure hope you're feeling much better. I saw you on the porch Saturday, and I was really worried about you. I must have just looked terrible. But then I saw you a few days later, and you look better. I hope everything is better now. It is. I'm feeling like I'm looking better and getting a haircut and getting all spruced up and getting ready to go on the road. And so that will be fun. So let me get another question. I'm rolling out so well here. Okay. And then I want to tell them about Bob Murphy.
Oh, love that.
Dean Beth. That's her name. Question. What were your parents' given names, and what did they think when you named your son Beaver? Thank you so much for sharing your humor. My name is Laura Lee, and I am from Juneau, Alaska. Thank you. Well, understand that way back in another era, the term Beaver was the sidekick for Red Ryder in the comic books, Little Beaver. And people just started calling him Little Beaver. I didn't give him that name. They just started calling, and they still, now he's 6'8", and he's grown and all that. And the people still call him Beaver. His name is Bailey, but everybody calls him Beaver. So Mother and Daddy weren't upset about the name. They just viewed it as a nickname, which is probably.
And your parents' given names.
Mother was Cora Lipscomb from Auburn, Alabama, and Daddy was Jim Swanner from Luverne, Alabama, and they met at Auburn. Okay. I want to tell you this story because I got several I'm running by. I started this story the other night. For you from Texas, you had a humorous speaker down there named Bob Murphy that was loved by everybody. He spoke for years. He was so funny, and he was a sharp guy. He was a humorist, but he was a lawyer. He was in the Texas Congress. As a matter of fact, he had such a sense of humor. And don't get upset about this. He had one arm, and he became the sergeant of arm in Texas. He never said sergeant of arms. He was a sergeant, and they wonder about what's happened to our politicians. So he was great. Everybody loved him. But if you were with Bob a lot, and I got into this because of people calling and asking me questions last week, people wanted to know how he lost his arm. And I watched him do this. It could have been an old joke, but I bet you saw him. He made this famous. He pulled in everybody on it. People would come up, and Bob was friendly. Texas, just friendliest guy. Nacogdoches, Texas.
Yes.
Nacogdoches, Texas.
Nacogdoches.
And his wife, she would go out to eat with us too.
Yes.
And it was just fun. And so they would come up and they'd start, "Are you Bob Murphy?" And he'd say, "Well, yes, I am." Pushes whatever he was chewing in his mouth over to the side and say, "Sure." And he was always nice to people. So after a while, they felt very close to Bob. And then they would say, "Do you mind if I ask you a question?" And everybody sitting around knew exactly what was going to happen. Bob said, "No, I'll be glad for you to ask a question, but you can only ask one question. You can't ask another question." Now, so that'd be fine. And then they would say, "What happened to your arm?" And Bob would answer it and say, "It got bit off." Well, I must have seen you do it 100 times. And then the guy wanted to say, "What bit it off? An alligator, a dog, what?" But see, you couldn't ask the second question. I've always thought that was a charming example of a good old Texas humorist who just reeled them in. Absolutely.
Such a dear man.
And he was on the convention one time at the National Speakers Association, and he would take out his notes with one hand and put them down, and then excuse me. And in the middle of his speech, they came up and said, Bob, the people ahead of you ran long. Cut it. You got to cut it. Bob folded up his notes and just walked off the stage. So the next year, had been in Chicago. The next year, they were in San Francisco. And they introduced Bob to complete his sentence. I bet y'all remember that.
I thought he was receiving the CPA.
No, nothing.
No.
Nothing.
Okay, sorry.
No, y'all
He was just-
correcting me again.
I did.
I was the convention chair. I know exactly. He was going to finish his speech. And he got up and he pulled out his papers and he looked out and he said, as I was saying in Chicago, and just went right on, brought the house down. That wasn't the night he got that, but it was good. So that was a question that I wanted to. And I wanted to point out another thing too. We tell these stories on here, and some of you wonder, is she trying out material? Yes, absolutely. I'm trying out. But I wanted to take one today to a fuller fruition, if that's the word. This spring, I think it was in March. When was Jane Jenkins Hurlong here? I think she was here in March.
Well, she's on here, so maybe she'll remind us when she was here.
I called her. She was here. And from each time I've done one of these and we've had a guest, I've gotten material. I've gotten more material this quarantine COVID year than probably any other year, except the pageant years, I guess. But we were talking, she had been Miss South Carolina, but she was Miss South Carolina years after I had been Miss North Carolina. But we got around to pageants, and she's from South Carolina, and she's funny. And I said to her casually, what's the name of your book? Because she had written several books. And she said, Bury Me with My Pearls. And the minute she said, Bury Me with My Pearls, it reminded me of a story as many times as I have searched my memory, searched my bank of things that have happened in my life. I just had totally forgotten. And I said, oh, wait a minute. You won't believe what happened to my grandmother when she died down in Luverne, Alabama. And we told the story. It got funnier and funnier and funnier. And it's now a story that I would tell. So the natural transition is once a month, I write an article, a story for Southeast Gazette magazine. I've done that since 2009, Toni.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Once a month. I don't want to miss that deadline.
And man, does that get around fast.
It's time for that article tomorrow. So this month for August is National Sisters Day. August 1st is Sisters. And this involved my two sisters and I, a story. Some of you will remember it because we couldn't get the ring off of her hand and all that. So that story, I wrote that story up, submitted it to the magazine for August, and it came out this week. Now, I asked her to please send me a copy on a PDF because I haven't recorded the story except we were laughing so hard that day on here. And PDFs don't move around. You don't punch buttons. They don't jump up and people start singing. But the transition for me is I asked Jane a question. What's the name of your book? She said, Bury Me with My Pearls. And when I said, did you want that? And she said, no, it's my grandmother. I said, oh, that reminds me of something that happened with my grandmother and my sisters. I told the story. They were laughing their heads off. Now the story is written. It's in the magazine for this month. And I'll put the PDF up this afternoon. You can read it. But now the next step is, of course, going back out on the road. This is a great story to tell because everybody could identify with it. That day, everybody was saying, that's the funniest thing. That's hilarious. So I'm trying to show you that's the transition of these stories. Now, the Bob Murphy story, that's Bob's story. And it may, as I said, it may have been an old joke that he took and made his own, but it was charming to watch him just pull everybody in that said, well, I'll just let you ask one question. Thank you, Jane Jenkins. And I wanted to.
And she said it was March. You were right.
It was March.
Jane.
So see, it takes a little while. All right, we've got some more here, but let's look at another question or two because that's what y'all like to send in. Patrick, you gonna get ready to sing?
Sure.
All right. Well, wait a minute. You haven't written one about me, though, have you, Patrick?
Not yet. I'm working on it. I mean,
We've done over 70 of these shows, and I know you. All right, here it is. This is from Nan in Lexington, South Carolina. How did you come up with the new stories when you were stuck in quarantine, unable to observe most of the humor? Thanks for being born. Oh, thank you for being born. I appreciate that. See, that's the thing. March a year ago, and I'm not saying it's just the way we think. Patrick and I sat down and looked. You lost all your convention speeches in what, 2 days?
Yeah.
All the conventions were
they were canceled. I lost both my speeches that year.
Oh, no. And then the theaters are calling the Nashville people and saying, we can't, we can't do these, we can't do these. So we looked at each other and said, what can we possibly do to keep some name recognition? And then it turned out to be one of the best ways to get stories. And we've worked on them a year and a half, haven't we, Patrick?
Yeah.
We got Tim Gard coming in here in a couple of weeks, who is absolutely one of the funniest people you'll ever meet. And I said, I got all these new stories. And he said, let's go over all of them. And so, see, we just decided that being in quarantine. Now, I will guarantee you this, though. If you work in the same office with one other person or two people, I've always said, look for humor and you will find it. Well, if you're in the exact same situation every single day, maybe you don't get as much as I get traveling around. I leave this house traveling, looking for funny stories. We all do. We're all in the habit of doing that. So this year has been for us just a bonanza. Now we're trying to decide what we're going to do with them. Another book, another this, another what. So that's what we do. We just say we're not wasting this year. I said, I'm not going to let this whole year go by. We didn't think it would last that long. I'm not going to let all that time go by and start back with the exact same material I had when this thing started. So we've really I think we've had fun with it,
yeah.
y'all?
Well, doing this is that's an example. That's a great story. And it came from Jane coming up and being on the show. And
we posted a clip not long ago. Humorist Jeanne Robertson and son Beaver working on Chicken in the Trunk.
Right.
And I think it has like almost 60,000 people have watched it. And it was just sitting back here. But see, that story is not a story that I had ever told till we started telling it.
But it's going to start showing up.
Oh, it's going to show up now. You can bet it.
Jane and I talk a couple times a week. And if we have an idea for a story, we call and talk it through. And if sometimes it doesn't go anywhere, sometimes it turns into something. But that's how you do stories. You talk them through.
We were, that story that happened with the dog down in Dillon, South Carolina, in the middle of the pageant, just walked right in the back door, right up the aisle, right up the little Glee Club steps. I'm standing there in an evening gown, and everybody's watching him. And I had that on my list for years, and then just tossed it out. And Patrick throws in punchlines. One of the punchlines, though, I said, it's probably a sexist thing now, but I don't care. Two men were leaving, and one of them said, did you see that dog up there on stage tonight? And said, yeah, but I thought she was funny. And somebody don't write.
Somebody gave us that line.
Patrick.
That's right. Patrick gave us that line. Yeah.
I'm very bright.
Yeah, very bright.
We know that.
Okay. I want you to sing because the Olympics were great. I got into the women's golf, and I just, but now it's time for football. And you live in a football town, don't you?
That's right. I grew up in a football town, Auburn, Alabama. And so this time of year, I start twitching because we know football season's coming.
Take it away.
But now that we have a soccer player in the family, we get excited about soccer season. I was out standing in the rain at 7:30 this morning watching.
You were not.
Yes, I was. I was watching Robert play in his first soccer game. He made varsity this year.
But it was pouring down rain.
Pouring rain. And then I realized I can't believe I'm the only parent out here who loves their kid enough to stand in the rain to watch them. And then we scored, and I hear a bunch of cars honking. I turn around, everybody's sitting behind me in their car watching the game.
And you're standing in the rain.
Said, I get it now. I get it now. So this is a song I wrote about my hometown, Auburn, Alabama. But I wrote it with a guy named John Greenbaum, You remember that song, Welcome to Earth, Third Rock from the
Yeah.
Sun? He wrote that song. And so anyway, we wrote songs together in Nashville, and I said, I've got an idea for a song, John. And I started describing my hometown, and I said, I call the song Football Town. And he said, Patrick, I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We consider ourselves a football town. So I realized that, love of football, love of sports, it kind of brings us all together. It was like religion, Friday nights, cheerleaders cheered with all their might. Shops on Main Street all closed down, living in a football town. With a coin toss and they huddled up, kicked off and a cloud of dust. 100 yards of sacred ground, living in a football town. Where the boys fought clean and the boys fought hard, grinding down that extra yard. There's blood and sweat, stripes and stars, marching bands and color guards. People come from miles around, living in a football town. It was all so simple then. Life came down to 1st and 10. The homecoming queen is grown up now, married in a football town. Well, behind the field there's a railroad track. All stars leave, salesmen come back. They watch their own kids playing now, living in a football town. Where the boys fought clean and the boys fought hard, grinding out that extra yard. There's blood and sweat and stripes and stars, marching bands and color guards. People come from miles around, living in a football town. Green Bay down to Mobile, anywhere there's a home field, where the boys fought clean and the boys fought hard, grinding out that extra yard. There was blood and sweat and stripes and stars, marching bands and color guards. People come from miles around, living in a football town. 100 yards of sacred ground, living in a football town. Thank you.
So people have asked, because this was so funny, if y'all were watching Thursday night, and I mentioned that, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. Break your knee on that chair.
That was my guitar hit the chair.
Okay.
I got 2 more.
So Thursday night during the pop-up, I was pointing out that I'm in Athens, Georgia, another football town. Woo, woo, woo. Go dog. Yeah. Dogs. And all of a sudden Toni came over and started shoving a piece of paper in my hand. And I looked at it and it said, Debbie Childers is opening on the Athens show. Well, Debbie's not opening on the Athens show. So I pushed.
Sorry,
Toni.
Debbie, I tried.
I know it. I pushed Toni's hand away, and Toni became determined that we were going. And she pushed a piece of paper back, and it kept going back and forth. And I great job. So I'm in Auburn at the Googe Center, the new Googe Center.
Yes,
Is
November
it got
19th.
postponed last year,
Right,
but it's
November
in November
19th.
So Patrick, you're gonna come and open up and sing them a
I
couple
sure
of
will.
Auburn songs for us. I'd appreciate that. And Debbie Childers, who won my last 2 times ago Jeanne Robertson humor contest, will be in Birmingham, which is near where she lives, and in Atlanta later. So let's get that straight. In Charlotte, they're having the comedy festival there in September. No?
Right, that's September 9. Yes.
Okay. And Tara Brown, who is won another year
And
is
was on
going
the
to
show.
Come by, and everybody knows her. She's been called the Queen of Comedy in Charlotte. So she's going to do that show. So that's things that work well. But since we're bringing in my niece, she doesn't sing or dance or do anything like that. But to help me with the shows in Athens, she's going to be training that week. Can you believe that? She's going to be training. So we just decided it was too much to try to have somebody. But that's what we're doing. If somebody's in the town, and we've got so many talented people out there. So that's kind of the flow here. This is not like written in stone anywhere. We're just trying to let y'all know about a lot.
Y'all
of
got to
different
make sure
people.
you go up and meet little Jeannie now, because if y'all are at the show, she's a
She's a
a
character.
special person. Wasn't she the student body president at Auburn?
No,
No,
no.
I voted for her. No,
No.
treasurer.
She ran treasurer. She ran for vice president.
That's right.
And lost by 17 votes. But that was a big.
Well, they're
school.
still recounting those.
Oh, I
so
know. We're still on it. No, that was years ago. Jeannie and his kids are going to
Oh, I know
college.
that. We were in school together for a little while before I moved on.
The other thing is you sang at her wedding.
I did. That's true.
And y'all met also at the youth program
We did.
in Auburn, the youth program of the National Speakers Association. Okay, I've got another thing I started to run by y'all before, and I don't think I've done it here, but Jerry was just left brain, such a delightful person, a little bit naive sometimes, but it was genuine. It was absolutely genuine. And of course, I'm going full force all the time doing things. So a few years ago, we put on the play Steel Magnolias. And then we carried it over a weekend. We sold it out like 14. I was Weezer. I loved that.
That was so great.
Oh, I loved that.
You inspired me to be in a play.
What?
Because you were in that play, I always wanted to be in one, and I was in one a couple years ago.
What was that show you did over there?
I don't remember. I just remember I was the oldest person by about 15 years.
I know it. Well, Steel Magnolias is the only thing I could play because the accent. I had the accent down pat. And so then I got the bright idea that since we were going to hold it over the next weekend, that I met at a reception, actually in Auburn, the playwright's mother. And I said, we're putting on the play. She said, I never get disappointed seeing it. High school, anywhere I can see it, I see it. So I said, well, why don't you come up here? The Arts Council has told me that they would pay for the tickets and you could come up here and we'd get a hotel room and all that. Because I had miles and when I knew we could get it. Wound up that she came here and they had a big reception. Now, why it was at my house, I don't know. But it wound up here and they had champagne. And so we were trying to get everything done, doing the play 3 more times. We named a seat for her daughter also. And, she was charming. She said, my husband can't come, but can I bring another friend of mine who was in the movie? We were saying, yes, whatever. So they were back here on the back porch. She was giving interviews and all that. And they had a champagne toast. And of course, the Arts Council people immediately rented what we call the champagne flutes. Now, these are, for those of you who are not champagne drinkers, these are champagne flutes. They're tall and you put champagne in them. We have 2 of them. I noticed that one night when your wife was here, she refused to have anything out of these glasses because they are Duke blue. Well, because she's Carolina.
That's right.
But the reason that we have these 2 flutes is they had a celebration honoring the people who had played under Coach Hal Bradley in the 50s. And Left Brain had been on that team and was captain of that team. So we went, and then they gave everybody 2 flutes. I brought the flutes home, put them up. But when the party rolled around, of course, the Arts Council, well, there were going to be 100 people here. Where I don't know where we put everybody, all over the house. And they, you know how you rent glasses. They rented these boxes of flutes that you put them in, and then you send them back dirty for this toast to the playwright's mother. And so the thing went on. And of course, the next morning, the play was over, the last one, and I left town. And I left Frame with a list of things to do. He would always just say, "Give me my list. I'll get it all done." And I forgot it. And I got to the airport and I said, "Oh, honey, all over the house, look on the porch, look everywhere. They're going to be flutes. You've got to find the flutes, get them all back in the boxes. They're coming to get them today. And you don't have to wash them. They're all clean." And so in a little while, he called me back and he said, "I don't know what you paid people to play the flutes." I was all over our house. I never saw anybody playing the flutes. I never heard anybody playing the flutes. And there are no flutes in this house. And he was looking for flute. And we've always laughed anytime you see a champagne flute, because he was honestly, he said, "I just don't think they're here. I think you got ripped off for your money." So I just thought I'd throw that in today.
I remember. Yes.
You remember when we did that?
Yes.
We had an armadillo cake too, didn't we?
Yes, I think you did.
Because an armadillo.
And if I remember, didn't Norma's mother make a cake with a big white magnolia on it?
Oh,
did
yes.
she do that?
Norma's did everything. Oh, and people have said, "Where's Norma this week?" See, we do tasks here. And Toni was exactly right to tell me that no, Debbie Children's is on, because she thought she was right. But Norma was in charge of me last Monday. Excuse me. She did everything last Monday for 8 or 9 hours medically with me. And then they went.
And then she left town.
To play golf, and she left town. She's back. I talked to her.
Did she? Good.
So it's like when Jane Tucker was here at Jerry's ceremony,
service, memorial service.
And they came here and she said, "Put all the things in these blue and white plates." Some of you wrote and said, "Well, how bossy is that?" No, Jane Tucker's job was for me to go to the service and she's going to get this house fixed exactly right. That's when our friends said, "Well, they were scared of Jane." No, you didn't have to be scared. She just said, "Give me my list." That's the way we do things around here. So where did I get off on all that? Okay, let's ask more questions. Then I got a couple of more stories here. Okay, but that's the flute story. All right, here's another question out of the bag. Hope we're answering the questions y'all want. Y'all sent some good ones. And the question is from Catherine, Katheran, Shook, Schuup. This is just a question. When you were Miss North Carolina and going around giving talks, what story did you tell that you thought, "Aha, I have an aha moment. I can make a living from my humor"? Well, that year I was getting paid for every speech I gave, $35 a speech, and I was thrilled to get it. Then if that was because if it was for the JCs who sponsored the Miss North Carolina pageant, if it was from another club like Rotary Club, I got $50. And if it was a bank or a corporate, somebody wanted me to speak, I got $100. I thought it was the most money I'd ever seen in my life. I remember the night we were riding back home after winning the pageant, and they were explaining to Daddy and Mother the number of clothes I would need for the year. And then they said, "But Mr. Swanner, she's won scholarships to finish out her college career." And Daddy said, "I think we'll about break even." There won't be more. So I just realized that everybody has different talents. You can bring in Jane Jenkins Hurlong and she's going to sing and tell stories, but she is a singer. And I was telling stories and people really liked it. And then they wanted you to come and do some more stories. And so you could cut the ribbon and do that. But I had a series of jokes that I told, but I figured out halfway through the year that they liked the true stories that happened, the funny stories that happened up at the Miss America pageant as a 6'2" contestant, much more than they did pat jokes. And I moved away from the jokes quickly. Excuse me. Then I crowned the next one and started giving speeches. Okay. These probably give 3 more prizes.
Okay. Sounds like a good idea.
Okay. They come out of this bag over here. Coffee.
Need some water?
I have something to drink. A Coke. Oh, I have it in my. I love left wing. Now I have hiccups.
Oh, good. I do that all the time.
I get hiccups if I even see a carrot. So, did you know that?
No, but they choke you.
Well, I know what we're
If you eat
serving.
raw.
What?
I'll know what we're serving next time. Give you hiccups.
Carrots. Okay, this is a prize winner. I'm about to cry, they'll say. Oh, she was just in bad shape. This is Sheila Jane. Prayers for you, dear. Thank you so much. I can't be
What's the
through this.
last name?
I guess it's just Sheila
Is
Jane.
that a question?
No question.
This is a prize.
This
Prayers
is
for
just
you,
a
dear?
prize. We don't know where, but she's got. I appreciate your praying hands for me. We need to get through the hiccups. Sheila, I'm not sure where you're from, but you win a prize if you can get in touch with us and identify how many praying hands you had on that. Okay, here's another one. Prize. Okay, now, Sheila Jane, you've entered again. You are looking beautiful. I'm going to declare you one winner if we can just find out who you are. Okay, here's another one. This person's going to win a prize right here. I'm having too much fun here today. See what happens when you get up and get organized and look better. Nancy, and it's spelled Nanci Fisher, Fisher. I'll be there to enjoy your back porch from Bealeton, Virginia, Bealeton, where we're having cool mornings and nights, but the temperatures in the day are 90. Okay, well, that's great. And thank you for entering, and you have just won a prize. So with you and with Sheila Jane, that's two of the prizes right here. Are we rolling along? What's happening on the screen?
Well, this is a funny quote.
What is it?
In today's money, your $35 is $310.76. So, from your
about
speeches.
$310. I was been thrilled.
Yeah, so that means if you did 500 speeches that year, you made over $1 million that year.
Yeah, for sure. We figured it up when the year was over, and I had, I think I had maybe
No, 155,000. Excuse me.
Oh, okay. Maybe I had made $8,000 or $12,000. I mean, y'all, that I was teaching for $4,000. So this is this is to let you know your education dollar. So I was thrilled. All right, here's another one. This is another prize right here. Okay, somebody just asked. I saw it down there. Am I still telling stories about left brain? Oh, yes. We have so many stories about left brain in queue, as they say, that it just wouldn't be fair just to say, well, I'm not going to tell any more about left brain.
He wouldn't like that either.
He would not like that at all.
No,
he was very quiet, but he would always say, I think they like that one about. And we always say to all of y'all, which is your favorite story? And it's always the one about you. The one about, oh, here's another gift. This is the prize ringing. Is that my sister?
Yeah. I don't know, but we hung up on whoever it was.
Okay.
This is a prize winner. You're giving me a name.
Tanya Lamo. I think she might have won.
You won last week.
Lano. Order a book or an audio book and you might get the pound cake recipe. Or order anything and you might get the pound cake recipe. But she didn't win the audio book this time. She just won a regular gift. So give it to somebody who needs a gift. That'll work. All right, now, how much more time do we have? Let's see down here.
You have about 6 minutes. But
okay. Wait a minute. Keep telling. Absolutely going to keep telling stories about left brain. That would just be terrible. Just to act like for everything he did, because if you're new, left brain would help me write the stories, and he would come up sometime and very quietly say, I think I just did something you might can tell. I'd say,
my mother does that all the time to me. She goes, oh, funniest thing happened to me. You can tell it in your speech. I'm like, no, Mom.
And yet one time we were having a platform professionals meeting and we were all in a circle and I got up and told a story. And she gave me one of the funniest lines you ever had. And your dad said, I cannot believe that she just gave Jeannie that funny line. I loved it. And I said, yes, she did. Back off. She gave that to me. Okay. Any more questions here? I got the pound cake. I hope somebody isn't calling to ask a personal question. We'll see you. All right. Tony, you and Tom are going to take me to Myrtle Beach.
That's right. We'll all be in Myrtle Beach on the 20th of August.
Okay.
That show has tickets for sale, and we'd love to see a lot of people. Several people have said they'll be there that are
At
on
Myrtle
the
Beach.
program. Yeah,
At the Alabama Theater.
at the Alabama
The
Theater.
funny thing is, then when we go to Birmingham, we're at the Alabama Theater downtown.
Right. Little confusing.
Yeah.
That's all right. Then we do Richmond, Virginia, and then we do the
Richmond,
later that
Kentucky.
month, we do Richmond, Kentucky.
I know.
They
Which
just
is
like to
figure
try
it
to
out.
confuse us.
Okay.
It's not
Any
too
more
hard.
questions? Any more questions? Yes, here they are. They're coming through. All right. Let me go ahead and give let me see. I had a couple more. Okay. Women, without telling you, I bought something about a year ago that they said I would probably need. Everybody said you have to go on and get this. So Norma Rose and I went to Raleigh and bought this thing. And now it's time for me to have to use it. And we can't find it. Now you tell me, just women, or if you are a guy who's involved in stuffitis like I am, stuff. So I now cannot find this item that I bought. I'll tell you about this later in the process, but we just can't find it. So what would you do? Now I want you to think and type it in. What would you do to find that item from a year ago? Guaranteed to find that item from a year ago. All right. See if anybody's doing anything, saying anything. Okay. No.
Not
Nope.
yet.
It takes a little while.
I mean, it's
I
gone.
know.
I know. Don't tell it. So after 3 months now of looking for this thing, remembering what I paid for it, waiting for it to come on, still
Matt,
thinking,
wait a minute. Matt Ellen, M-A-D, Madellen, I don't know how she says that, M-A-D-E-L-L-E-N, Spate, says, buy another and you'll find it.
That's exactly right. So I got on
Everybody's
the
saying buy another.
phone this week and just ordered. I said, send me another one of these. And she said, well, when you ordered it the first time and got it, you could have gotten a good deal for two. And I said, but I just wanted one, but now I need it again. And that's going to help me find it. So I will report later, but I will guarantee you that now that I've ordered this new one is coming in, I will any day now say, well, look at this thing in this drawer. Well, that's exactly where that is. All right. Shall we give the big prize if we don't? We
Yes.
got a lot of.
2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, y'all send the best question. One lady said that the Olympics were on when she was a child or something, and her daddy said he would give her $1 if she could talk for an hour. And she talked for an hour because back then $1 was a lot of money, and they laughed at her and they had a good time. All right, this
My daughter
present.
would negotiate a higher rate.
I know it. Well, that's in today.
And
All
have
right.
no trouble talking for an hour.
No.
Give her daughter to
Would
stop
you?
talking.
Would you have trouble?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Give me the topic. I can go. Okay. Look in the oven, someone said. Well, it could be there because I haven't
Next
cooked
to the
any.
sweaters.
Well, this is what. All right, y'all. I'm going to draw, and this is for the rest of the ones you choose. This is for This is for the 7 hour and 26 minutes or whatever 7 CD audio version filmed in that same closet where we have lost this item now, but and it's 7 CDs, and this is done by me reading and Patrick recording, and both of us laughed until we hurt. And so if you don't play CDs anymore, of course you can get them, all these things to download some way, but you might want to take it somewhere and split them up and let people share them and listen and have a lot of laughs. I'm now going to pull the prize for the name for the big prize this way right here. Okay, wait. I'm not looking. I'm just getting the name. All right, and the winner is happy to hear you better this week, Jeannie. Sandy, Sandy Boda, Boda. Yay! Sandy, you just won the audio version. Let Toni, Toni, at JeanneRobertson.com know to whom you want things autographed. All 6 winners today of the other items, which you want, just choose what you want. and on this. And Tony, you'll get them out when? As fast as I sign them?
Fast as you sign them.
Okay. Well, we've had a good time today. I've still got things on my list. You just can't discuss everything, but it is National Mustard Day, and maybe that can be our color for the day. All of these. Is that it, y'all?
That's it.
Okay. Bye. Thank y'all for coming. I'll see you. What?
I know. I thought that was a quick goodbye.
Bye.
It's a hard
Play the
transition.
song.
She's a heck of a lot of fun, Jeanne Robertson. Oh, she's a heck of